This video contains spoilers for Act 1 and 2 of Silksong. Hello, my name is Holland and I'm known to be very critical of Hollow Knight Silksong. But what I sometimes fail to convey is that the only reason I criticize this game as much as I do is because I love it and I want it to be the best version of itself. This video is a chance for me to get a little more light-hearted than usual and talk about 5 parts of Silksong that I think are pretty much flawless in their design. I say pretty much because there's always something you can do better, just like there's always something you can do worse. But I have chosen 5 features I would truly defend as being nearly perfect. Hopefully this video will carry a lot more meaning coming from a vicious critic than a cowardly shill. Let's get started. Number 5. Visuals. Ari Gibson is a tremendously talented visual artist who did the impossible of blowing us away with the first Hollow Knight and then doing it again with the second. It's hard to deny that Silksong is a visually stunning game. The areas are beautiful, the animation smooth and lively, every character, not least Hornet herself, brimming with personality. On the visuals, I've never dared to criticize Team Cherry. Not because I'm scared to, but because I wouldn't know what to go after. The first Hollow Knight is itself a gorgeous experience, and Silksong only goes to show that even perfection is subject to improvement. Now, I think you can criticize Farloom's visuals from a meta perspective. What comes to mind immediately is especially how similar the entirety of the Citadel looks. But on the level of analyzing each specific room, each animation, there is hardly anything for me to say except wow. Silksong truly is a visual masterpiece. If there is one element of game design it got perfect, it would almost have to be the visuals. Number 4. Deep Dark's Lace. I have a list of 4 criteria that I use to rate Hollow Knight and Silksong bosses. You can watch this video, which I'll link down below, if you want to know more about the list. When judged by these criteria, there are quite a few bosses in Silksong who play almost perfectly. Fourth Chorus, Conch Flies, Clockwork Dancers, First Sinner, but I think it is hard to name a boss that follows the principles of good boss design as meticulously as the first encounter with Lace. Now, you might not think of Lace as one of Silksong's best bosses, and I would guess that has a lot to do with the fact that she's not very difficult. But of course not. She is an early game boss after all, and I think valuing difficult bosses just because they're difficult is slightly unfair. Is a boss really less well designed just because it's easy? That feels like a strange criticism. When judged according to my criteria, Lace scores pretty much perfectly, and I can say that about very few other bosses across both games. She has a number of attacks that, in almost unbelievable fashion, all manage to be appropriately challenging without resorting to unfair tricks. Even the attack in her kit most prone to being untelegraphed, her jump, is actually telegraphed. She is fun to dodge, she's fun to retaliate against and smack around the arena. There is hardly anything bad to say about this encounter. She sadly doesn't stay this perfect during the rematch, but that's neither here nor there. I'm talking only about the first encounter, and that one is a masterclass in boss design. Hands down one of my favorite fights in the entire game. I wish the harder bosses were this fairly designed. Number 3. Cross Stitch. If you're one of the few people who recognize what this is, then props to you. This is the Seal of Siblings. It's a custom charm my brother and I dreamt up for Hollow Knight that would allow you to parry enemy attacks while holding a nail art. Well, it turns out Team Cherry liked the idea of a parry ability just as much as we did, hence we got Cross Stitch. The timing is harsh, but man if it doesn't feel good to pull off. Out of all the vanilla Silk skills, this is by far the most unique design and hands down my favorite spell across both games. I mean, come on, it's a parry. You're using the enemy's overconfidence against him. How cool is that? I love it when game developers are able to surprise you with simple yet awesome ideas that change the way you look at the core mechanics. And the fact that it is actually fun to use is the cogwheel that makes the whole mechanism turn. Man, is it a cool ability. I just wish more spells were this creative. Wherever you go in Silksong, you'll experience another thing Team Cherry are great at: atmosphere. The feeling varies from place to place, but wherever you are, it really feels like you're engulfed in the world. And that is a difficult thing for a game to get right. The whole game has got great atmosphere, but I do think some areas nailed it more than others. Perhaps my favorite example is Greymoor. Getting here and exploring this gorgeous setting for the first time, completely immersed in the world, was probably the best part of my entire playthrough. You can read that in two different ways. Sure, it does mean the game in some sense peaks around this time and, in my opinion, never quite gets as good as it is in Act 1. But I'm also just trying to emphasize how great the ambience of Greymoor is. Coming here for the first time, meeting the innkeeper, seeing the awesome new enemy designs, it felt like the best parts of exploration from the first game, only it was somehow even better. I can't imagine what the game would have been like if exploring every area had felt like that. But I am not just praising Greymoor. The ambience throughout this entire game, starting in Moss Grotto, is really immersive. I get so used to playing without sound, nowadays I just listen to a podcast while gathering footage, that I completely forget how much the music and the sound design does for the experience. Greymoor will always hold a special place in my heart. I really felt like I was walking into an old, decrepit village, the rain and the screeching birds drawing me towards the warmth of the tavern. Staying cozy inside while the citizens of a once bustling town roamed around outside, now husks of their former self. Silksong does have spectacular atmosphere throughout most, if not every area, but Greymoor is something special. Number 1.
Pushanka.
Of course, I can't forget to mention this one. Chakra's Pushanka is a wonderfully iconic line, which only makes it so much better that Hornet, after obtaining her throwing rings, can say the line too. I don't know why I love it so much, but I really do. What a great secret to add.
Pushanka.
And that is all from me. I wonder, was that as interesting as some of my other videos? Did you actually enjoy hearing me praise those things most people already know they like? I am actually really curious to know, so feel free to let me know in a comment down below. I'm Holland, thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.